You know, I didn't think it was possible for kids today to be dumber than I was when I was in school, but it's happening, and that's by spending a gazillion dollars to make sure we were providing the best and the most for our kids so that they could become brainiacs, and not me. Well, it's not happening. 26% of 12th graders today are proficient at math. That would tell me that 3/4 are not. It's barely much better in reading, but the fact that on both levels, and since the 1970s, these are way, way down. To the Foundry Senior contributor, Genevieve Wood, on why throwing money at this problem has not worked. What's going on here?
Well, Neil, I don't think students are dumber. I think the federal government gets dumber all the time because, as you noted, since the 1970s, we are spending almost 3 times today per student as we were in the early 1970s. That's inflation-adjusted numbers.
But what are we spending it on?
Well, this is a thing. I mean, the numbers you just stated shows it's not actually educating our children. Look, this money goes to about 100 different federal education programs. It goes to the states, about $38 billion a year, but the government tells them how to spend it. And, you know, we hear all this talk out of Washington. President Obama is guilty of it himself. We need more money because we've got to hire more teachers. The fact is we have more teachers today per student than we have had in the history of this country. It's about 16 to 1. Yeah.
I mean, and we also have more administrative staff, or people who supposedly help out. So the hiring there and the increase there has been far more dramatic than it has, even allowing for the increase in students, right?
That's right, because, I mean, if you look at public education employees, only about half of those folks are actually teachers. Now, I'm not saying we need more teachers, but what about all the money that's going to administrative folks, many of which their main job is dealing with all the burdensome paperwork that comes out of Washington? What if that money was actually spent more on education itself and giving states and, frankly, parents the right to decide what's the best education children, because clearly the government doesn't know.
All right, what about these charter schools, though? They seem to be graduating students that are off the chart little rocket scientists, so what are they doing right?
Well, they're closer to their locality, and they've got a feedback mechanism. I mean, when you look at education, it is a prime example of why big government simply doesn't work, because the incentives in government is to be ineffective, because the more ineffective you are, the less you actually accomplish, the more money you get, the more power you have. And when you were saying we're spending all this money to make our kids smart, we're not spending money to make our kids smart. We're spending money to grow a bureaucracy.
Do you agree with that,
And that's all they do. Neil, well, that's all they do is when that money gets spent and it doesn't work, guess what the reason is, or I guess the conclusion?
They don't have
more
enough.
money. I mean, you just throw more money at it. And I think, like you talked about previously with the previous panelists, Neil, you need to almost educate the educators a little bit here. Because when you look at studies, they have shown, sure, the home life of the kid is very important. You know, their outside activities very important. The most the kid can learn, though, is in the classroom in front of the teacher. And you have a lot of great teachers out there that go unrewarded, unrecognized, and a lot of bad ones that stay in the system.
Well, that's what worries you. Genevieve, I mean, I know one thing amazing in this study, in your study, was the fact that the gap between, you know, whites and minorities is the widest it's ever been. So a primary goal there to even things out isn't working. So where are the incentives for the great teachers, or those that I think most Americans will be happy to pay up for to see results, and we're not?
Well, in many cases, you're actually running good teachers out of the schools because you're rewarding those who don't do well. And the fact is, look, there's some states, Florida being a good example, where you've actually seen a lot of innovation. You've seen local school districts get to try a lot of different things. And in those places, you see the achievement gap between white students, black students, Hispanic students greatly shrinking. And you see good teachers staying in the system. So I think choice is a good thing here. Most cities, localities, states that have tried it, their students are doing better. When everybody follows what the federal government wants, whether it's no child left behind under Bush or Common Core, you're seeing it.
Well, exactly, and I'm a proud Wisconsinite. What Scott Walker did in Wisconsin saved taxpayers millions, could be used for education.
All right, guys, thank you all very, very much. In the meantime, Ren